Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom football channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for dearly departed Premier League preview. What round are we up to? Round 20, a mid-week round of games in the Premier League, and all 5 of the dearly departed will be in action. Who are the dearly departed? If you're new to the channel, obviously I'm a championship YouTuber. But I don't want to make all these lovely friends as teams get promoted and lose them to the behemoth that is the Premier League. So we still do review and preview and watch-along videos for the clubs that I have covered in the Championship that are currently in the Premier League. That being Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Leeds, Fulham and West Brom. So we're going to go through their 5 games. Before we do that, we will say thank you to J Coyle, who's our fan sponsor, dearly departed, also known as Ben. Couldn't bear to lose us. We thank Jay, who supports the channel in the best way you possibly can on Patreon. If you want to join Jay in supporting, I would be very, very thankful. Patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Here we go. There's the fixtures. Dearly departed games have a blue bell by them. The Bluebells. What song did the Bluebells sing? There was a band, wasn't there? Crystal Palace versus West Ham. Our first dearly departed there. Newcastle United versus Leeds. Some big games this round. Southampton, Arsenal. Then West Brom, Manchester City. Ouch. Burnley versus Aston Villa. A big game. Probably more a big game that for Fulham and West Brom and Sheffield United chasing than it is for Aston Villa, who are a bit higher up in the table. Chelsea Wolves, Brighton and Fulham. I mean, what word can we use to describe just the enormity and gargantuan size of that one? That is inside the relegation against just outside the relegation. Wow. Everton versus Leicester. We'll call that the Gary Lineker derby. Manchester United versus Sheffield United. Ouchie for both West Brom and Sheffield United in this one. They've got the Manchester club. Spurs versus Liverpool. That'll be fun. So this is the flip reverse of some fixtures that would have been in the middle of December sometime. It's not long since this round was played previously. This often happens, doesn't it? You have a weird one where 2 teams play each other a month apart. And our first game to look at in some detail is Burnley versus Aston Villa. So the narrative with these two is that Villa are having a really good season. They're transformed from the team that just avoided relegation last season. They've recruited well. The pattern of play is getting better and better. They've come off a COVID break, but they did get the win against Newcastle. So things are good for Villa. For Burnley, it was a bad start, but they're now being an absolute nuisance like they always are in the Premier League. And that wonderful win for them at Anfield to break Liverpool's huge unbeaten home streak there. So, difficult one to call this one. It's at Burnley. You can see the recent results there. Burnley do well in games where one would expect them to do well, i.e., the defeats there against West Ham and Manchester United and Leeds. But look, points against Villa previously, a 0-0 there. A win against Wolves, a win against Sheffield United. But then just tear that theory up completely with the Liverpool game, because that's we assume that's an outlier for the season. But they'll take it as being in good form. For Villa, well, either side of the COVID break, they had Manchester United and Manchester City, lost both of those games. Obviously, we had the long discussion about they were unlucky, weren't they, with that loophole offside goal, which needs fixing in the wordings in the law, doesn't it? But in these last 6 games, they do have 3 victories and a draw against Palace, against West Brom, a draw against Chelsea, and then last time out against Newcastle. So Villa are still a good team in pretty good nick. And in terms of being in pretty good nick, look up in the top left. That's their strongest team. Well, Nakamba comes in. other than John McGinn, that is the strongest Villa team that played against Newcastle. Watkins back in the goals. Traore doing business now as well. Barkley back, which hopefully just takes the pressure off Grealish, because often there's a lot on his shoulders there if others aren't creating or scoring. So, predictions, it's a difficult one to call because Burnley are stiff, awkward opponents, but Villa have been good defensively. Can Mings and Konza stand up to, maybe some balls into the box, some quick transitions and balls into the channel? I think they can, but I think we might get another draw in this one. By the way, if Villa do get a win, they could be going into the top 6. They're currently 3 points behind West Ham and Everton, who are just above them in 7th and 6th in the table. Burnley, well, they're starting to look safer and safer as the weeks go on. So a win for them. Well, it would make us think they're going away from the bottom 3, but I think we already think that they are going away from the bottom 3 anyway. I suspect they'll do some business before the window closes as well and strengthen their squad even further. Draw. Let's go for a draw in this one. Moving on. By the way, get your thoughts in the comments. Burnley versus Aston Villa. Moving on. I can say it now. Newcastle versus Leeds. Big game, this. Now, Leeds only a few games ago beat Newcastle 5-2. You can see it down there. Obviously, and we had this discussion with Leeds fans at the time, there was a heinous 6-2 defeat at arch rivals nemesis Manchester United, but they then won the next 2 games and it was 3 wins in 4. So it was a really nice purple patch. However, since then the narrative has changed because defeat against Tottenham, fine. Tottenham are up in 5th, aren't they? But then Crawley was horrible in the cup, wasn't it? Okay, with players rested. But then the 1-0 defeat at home to Brighton, all of a sudden it's, is there a bit of a slip happening or coming? Can it be prevented? So just the optimism of the 3 wins in 4. And we've been like this with Leeds, where they've got into the middle of the table, really good performance and, scoring really good goals and looking, for all the world like a middle of the table team. But just then a little slip down puts the element of doubt right in the back of the mind, doesn't it? However, Newcastle absolutely suck at the moment, don't they? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 8 games up there. 2 points from the last 8 games, including games against Leeds, Fulham, Sheffield United and Villa in there, who are bottom half and dearly departed sides. And okay, you can countenance defeats. They drew against Liverpool, for goodness sake. You countenance defeats against the top teams. But remember, when you're battling in there, you've got to win the games against the direct rivals and inflict that direct damage. And, not only Newcastle not doing that, they're not really winning against anybody at the moment. It's not a good place. However, Steve Bruce, we need to show respect for a manager who's been in a job for an awful long time, and maybe managers at Newcastle are basically set up and told, look, don't get relegated. Do anything you want, but don't get relegated. And I think that's the case, isn't it? So I have some sympathy for Steve Bruce, but his means of doing this, and I'm sure this is why Mike Ashley selects these people, is to be a little bit pragmatic. So there is always the danger, even though Newcastle are not in good form, that they can sit in against Leeds and try and churn out one of those defeats that I guess we haven't seen so much this season because, just the race standard. But in the Championship, when Leeds weren't quite clicking and a team would sit in and just nick a goal and Leeds wouldn't be able to get through despite often having over 15 shots and over sort of 60% possession of the ball. So that would be the worst case scenario if you're a Leeds fan. Otherwise, you would think this is a good chance for a 3-pointer for Leeds to go on to 26 at the halfway point. So we must say, big picture, This will be Leeds' 19th game, 26. Can we extrapolate that to 52? If we can, every Leeds fan would be happy with 52 points if you told them at the start of the season. You'd think relegation will be around the mid, possibly low 30s this season, given the low tide down the bottom there, and if those teams get cut adrift. So 52 could be miles away if they can do that. There's the team last time out, and I guess we're just all waiting for some help at centre-back. Obviously, no Calvin Phillips in there either. Leeds do miss him when he's gone, as you would. He's an excellent player. But it's more the absence of... It's the knock-on effect, isn't it? The absence of Koch or Llorente means then that Ayling's moved across from there to there. Dallas has then moved across from there to there. So as soon as Koch or Llorente comes back, Leeds fans, let me know the likelihood of that in the comments. Then Dallas moves over. Alioski will likely step out. Ayling moves back over to right back. Dallas moves back over to left back. So that would strengthen their chances. I suspect if one of Koch or Llorente was back, and Ayling does move across, and Dallas does move there, and Calvin Phillips is around, and you get that full strength team. Harrison and Rafinha switching wings last game. Not sure about that, but there we go. With the rest of that team and the 10 days rest, I would be fairly confident that Leeds can go there and get a victory. Remember, the things that are going to stop Leeds are, A, that doomsday scenario of the Steve Bruce low block and nicking a goal and sitting in, or B, 1, 2 or 3 of those players we mentioned, Koch, Llorente and Phillips, are not able to play in the game. With that being said, I've put it over here. Here's my dearly departed hat, and we're going for a Leeds win in this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Newcastle versus Leeds. Oh, it's a big one. Brighton versus Fulham. Let's just go straight to the table. Look in the top right of the picture as you're looking there. Brighton, 17th, 17 points. Fulham, 18th, 12 points. Wow. So, do the maths quickly. A Fulham win takes them to 15. 2 points behind Brighton. A Brighton win takes them to 20. 8 points ahead of Fulham. So, what we know here is that maybe Fulham can't catch Brighton in this game, but Brighton can really put a big, big wound in Fulham's potential challenge here to stay up. There will be, so that would be 8 points adrift at the halfway mark. So 19 games to go. So you've basically got to make up a point pretty much every other game between your rival in the remaining games. This is a really, really big one. And I hope I'm wrong, but the worst case scenario here for Fulham is this is where chickens come home to roost, if that's the right metaphor, cliche that I'm probably misusing. We've been worried a long time that Fulham's improvement has resulted in the team getting sorted, some competitive performances, a load of draws, but no wins. And if they now were to lose this game, that's where the chickens come home to roost, because the 3-pointers haven't been put on the board whilst they've improved. And it's almost like, go on, give me your best punch, give me your best punch. And it hasn't dazed Brighton or Burnley. And now Brighton can possibly land, well, not necessarily a knockout punch at this stage of the season, but certainly an effective punch if we're using fight analogies and boxing vernacular here. Brighton, really important win for them last time. Just made all the difference, didn't it, that win at Leeds? Because they, like Fulham prior to that, had just been drawing and losing. And I'm sure this is the case, but you get the idea Graham Potter really, really identifies these games, doesn't he? And I think the rationale for Brighton in the season is there's some real AA star games where they are not to lose, and they don't tend to lose them, do they? And this is most definitely one of them. For Fulham, the recent form there, 0-0, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1, then 2 straight defeats against Chelsea and Manchester United when the big boys came. Okay, there's a draw against Tottenham and a draw against Liverpool in there. I must say they are also big boys that Fulham scored points again. But it's all about the wins. And if you look back in that form, 16th of December, this previous game was a 0-0 draw at the Cottage. That was a big chance missed by both teams, but moreover by Fulham, given the 5-point gap. So I can't hype this up enough. This is not me YouTubing, trying to add hyperbolic, status to this game. It's a massive game. For some reason, I've put the Brighton team up instead of the Fulham team, which is a very annoying oversight by me. But let me just go off the top of my head and say we would expect Areola, Anderson, Adrabio, Iain. Is Robinson back from suspension after his red card? He may or may not be. So Joe Bryan may still have to play. Forgive me, I can't quite remember. And they had been playing Kenny Tete at right wing back, where Bobby Reid haven't been to be doing a load of work there. Anguissa, Harrison Reed, and then you'd expect Loftus-Cheek, Cavaliero and Lookman to start. So is that going to be enough? I suspect we're going to get 3 at the back from both teams. I suspect this is going to be very tight. And from a Brighton point of view, they'll be hoping that they'll, the extra possible experience and quality in the Premier League is going to be enough. With my dearly departed hat on, a Fulham win would be a really big deal for our show going forward. But I hate to say it, draw. It's just got draw written all over it, doesn't it? Because Brighton are playing at home and they don't need to win with the 5-point gap. They can sit back and say to Fulham, go ahead and beat us. That's the psychology of it. And I think that plays into Brighton's hands. So I'll go for a draw in this one. Get your predictions in. Brighton versus Fulham. Up next is West Brom versus Manchester City, which West Brom took a point from last time, didn't they? Slaven Bilic then lost his job the next day, didn't he? And Big Sam is now here. It's been a mixed bag for Big Sam so far, but we have to give him some kind of pass in that he has to put his style down, and he's trying to work the transfer window as well. He's already managed to get Snodgrass in and has started a game already. So bit of a hodgepodge for Sam. Brilliant draw away at Liverpool. Brilliant win at, well, why don't I put the results up? Brilliant win at West Brom, but some home games in there. Yuck. 3-0, 5-0, 4-0. They've lost the home games. It's been awful at home under Allardyce. Just played 3, lost 3, scored none, conceded 12. Just, couldn't be any worse, could it? Well, conceded 13, but hey, what are you going to do? Manchester City are in really, really good form. It's ominous form, actually. Look at that. 5 straight wins up there. It may even be further in if we take the form back. I've only got 5 games up because of the postponement in there. They've also only conceded 1 goal in those games. That was away at Chelsea in the last few results. Against 2 of the lesser lights there, Brighton Palace just beat them to 0. And against Villa, who are not a lesser light, as we know from doing Dearly Departed, they're 8th. Win, clean sheet. So, looks a bit icky, this one, doesn't it? For the baggies, it'll look something like that. Johnston, O'Shea, Ajay, Bartley, Gibbs. Grzycki is getting used. Sawyers, Livermore, Gallagher. What I will say about Big Sam is he looks like he's identified Matthias Pereira for, we've seen Allardyce do this before, where he puts a solid foundation behind a Djorkaeff or a Bobic or, whoever he had in those Bolton days, and did let flair players play, didn't he? So let's see how that pans out. But it's going to be a very, very predictable prediction from me. And I'd love to hear someone predict West Brom points in this one. Give your reason in the comments. But sorry, Baggies fans, away win for Manchester City. Get your predictions in the comments. West Brom versus Manchester City. And sadly, the last one is going to have a bit of a similar tone, isn't it? The other Manchester club against our Blades, who are at the bottom of the league, winning some FA Cup games. They beat Plymouth, didn't they, to add to their Bristol Rovers win and their Newcastle win. However, in the gap there was defeat at home to Tottenham. And the manner of that defeat was troubling, wasn't it? We were hoping with our dearly departed hats on, okay, win the cup game, win the league game, new kind of lease of life. And because the scourge of Sheffield United has been the kind of either the narrow... Well, basically, it's been the narrow defeat, hasn't it? Where we've been able to argue, they could have got something out of that. Whereas that Spurs game was just naff, wasn't it? It was concede a set play after 4 minutes, give the ball away, and Harry Kane scores on transition, get back into the game, and then do exactly the same thing. And Ndombele scored, didn't he? It was... I don't know. We couldn't put that Spurs game in our tight game. They could have got something out of that league, really, because of all the, kind of gift-wrapped goals that they sort of gave to Jose Mourinho and Spurs. So, and I haven't even mentioned Manchester United yet, who, are they back? I don't know. They're certainly on a good run. I guess for someone my age growing up, Manchester United are back when they're winning 2 titles in 3 years or something, not playing well for 10 games and moving to the top of the league. But we can't ignore how well they're doing at the moment. So those last 6 games, 4 wins, 2 draws, outstanding. The 2 draws away at Leicester and away at Liverpool, who are 3rd and 4th. So that's title winning form. That's winning games, and when your rivals are playing you in their home stadium, preventing them from beating you. So could it be the year? Could Manchester United be back in the honours as Premier League champions this season? We'll find out. For goodness sake, you can see my mistake now. So there was the Fulham team. Annoyingly, I haven't put the Blades team up there. Sorry. Idiocy from me. Put your complaints in the comments. We had the Brighton team in the previous one. Now we've got the blooming Fulham team in this one. Deary me, I apologise. But for Sheffield United, again, I'll go off the top of my head here. We would expect something like Ramsdale, Basham, Egan. It's been Ampadu at left centre-back. They should keep that. And then I think Stevens and Baldock back fit. They're still missing Berger in midfield. So it has been Norwood, Fleck, Lundstrom, which is very championshipy, almost League One-y for a couple of those players. Up top, I'd like to see Brewster just get a run now. Maybe McGoldrick and Brewster is the solution. Obviously, there is in the squad McBurney and Sharp and Mousse as well. I hate to say it, I don't really think it matters in this game because it's a very, very tough one, isn't it? And Manchester United, you know that they may not even go with the big guns. In the big games, it tends to be sort of Fred, McTominay, and then Fernandes, Rashford, Pogba, and Martial. But there's still Greenwood and Cavani, isn't there? Van der Beek. Got a lot of quality, and now they're getting their aura back a little bit in this COVID season, aren't they? So, apologies to Blades fans. It's going to be another predictable one. Manchester United to win this one. Home win for the Red Devils over Sheffield United. Again, if you can give me an argument, please do in the comments as to why you think Sheffield United will get some points out of this one. But I'm not seeing it, sadly. It gives me no pleasure to say that. So, Manchester United v Sheffield United, I'm going for a home win. Sorry, that's the Fulham team clearly up there. Get your predictions in the comments. That's the show. Thank you for watching. Thanks again to Jay Coyle, dearly departed, also known as Ben. Couldn't bear to lose us. As ever, we will review these games afterwards. Now, I was going to ask a question that sometimes on my dearly departed reviews, if I wait until the round has finished, sometimes it can be 2 or 3 days since the game's played. And I'm reviewing a game that was days and days ago. So what would you guys think to a sort of dearly departed daily thing? So if dearly departed teams do play, I just review it the morning after, or even individual games. That might help, because sometimes I feel that the videos aren't timely, and like you'll get a team play a Friday night game and then I'm waiting all the way through until Tuesday or something to talk about it, and it's not timely. So I may try that out, but give me your feedback as ever. Honest feedback is always welcome, although YouTube is full of often blunt, unwelcome, rude feedback. So although I can rely on the Benjamin Bloom subscribers to not reduce themselves to the level of much of YouTube's ludicrous sort of socially inept. Isn't it funny? I was thinking this the other day. Sorry, go off on a tangent. Social media, it's even got the word social in it, encourages some of the most socially inept and unaware behaviour that exists anywhere in the known universe, doesn't it? It's very, very, very strange, the lack of social skills exhibited on social media. Anyway, little rant for you there at the end of the video. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you do subscribe on Patreon, we'll do these as quick Premier League predictions behind the Patreon subscription wall. That is just part of what you get as a Patreon exclusive Q&As on top of that, and we're trying to build up a regular schedule of shows. Trying to say that after a couple of glasses of wine. With all of that being said, thank you for watching. Get involved in your predictions, and all of the pluggery will be in the advert afterwards. So all that remains for me to do is pull these out and say over. And I didn't hit myself in the face. And out! Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.